Buenos dias, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to Immigration Spotlight, our online virtual gathering of the Latin America Caribbean Committee of the Loreto community, bringing you border updates, news of emerging issues facing the migrant, asylum seeking, and farm worker communities, and those on the front lines of working for immigrant justice. I would like to note that this session is being recorded. If the speakers at any time would like for us to pause the recording, please let me know. But so everyone knows, we have the full gallery view, so you are being recorded. I'm Rosa Lizardi, the chair of the Latin American Caribbean Committee, LACC, known by its acronym. It is our tradition that we start with a prayer and or reflection. So let me introduce Maureen Flanagan, a member of the LACC from Denver, who is a magnificent volunteer and immigrant advocate, and who has helped organize this immigration spotlight and will present our reflection today.
Good morning, everybody. Merry Christmas. I have been reading several books by Father Greg Boyle. He's the founder of Homeboy and Homegirl Industries. It's the largest gang prevention program in the world. And I have been reading his books, Tattoos on the Heart, Barking to the Choir, and his latest, Cherished Belonging. And they're filled with stories about his homies and the lives that they are living. And he often travels, well, he always travels with at least two homies to take to his presentations, and they relate their stories. And afterwards, people come up and say, "Oh, Father G, thank you so much for rescuing these people." And he explains, Homeboy receives people, they don't rescue them. In December, 2 years ago, at Christmas time, Denver received 43,000 Venezuelan immigrants in one fell swoop, sent to us as gifts from the governors of Texas and Florida to teach us a lesson. Within weeks, Denver mobilized 6,000 volunteers. They received the families with food, shelter, clothing, kindness, unconditional love, and belonging in the same way that Loreto has. The picture you're seeing here is an air mattress purchased by one of the families that Loreto supports in Denver. Their apartment recently had an infestation of bed bugs, and they had to throw out all their mattresses. And they asked me if I could buy them air mattresses so they had something to sleep on. And at the same day, I received a check from Loreto ministry grant for $2,000. I was able to give them money so that they could get air mattresses. This is Hamar and Patricia. The ground on these people's feet when they arrived here is the kingdom of God here and now. It isn't something we are waiting for. This Advent, we are reminded over and over again to see as God sees, with wideness and mercy. The only moment left for us to participate in this larger love, this all-accepting love, is this moment. And this is what Loreto does over and over again. You will hear from our speakers, Bob and Dora and Paulina and Martha, and they will tell you about this love. Can you hear it? The voice of the beloved. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Maureen.
Thank you.
Maureen is our designated prayer reflection person on the LACC, and she always comes through. So we are thrilled. Thank you all for being here today. We are having this end of the year holiday immigration spotlight to be together, to come together. More importantly, our partners wanted to share about what they're doing, the work they're doing at the border for migrants, for immigration justice. So what we heard that they're working on is, of course, with the parteras, and you'll hear from Jimena about the midwifery services, about babies. And then we're also hearing about the work that's being done with elders in the LGBTQI plus community. So this is our babies and elders and everyone in between. Teenagers, families, will be hearing about all the work and all these families, and what we're doing. So to begin, we are going to hear from Paulina Olvera Cañez, who is the director and founder of Espacio Migrante, a binational community organization based in Tijuana, Mexico, which serves migrant communities, providing human rights education, comprehensive care, and housing while raising awareness about migrants along the US and Mexico border. Paulina is a longtime partner. She is doing this while raising a little kid and a family and juggling all of the issues that these advocates are facing since January of this year with the new administration and defunding. So let's turn over to Paulina. Mil gracias. Thank you for being here, Paulina. I love your background as well, your murals at Espacio Migrante. So you have the floor. Gracias.
Thank you, Rosa. Good morning, everyone. It's so nice to be here. And I love that Maureen mentioned Homeboy Industries. If you're ever in LA, I recommend that you go visit them. And they have also a coffee shop where they have the homeboys and the homegirls working in the coffee shop. So it's really cool. And I think, Rosa, you're in LA, so maybe I would really recommend if you can visit them. But
I
I want
was
to
in
share.
LA. I'm back in New York, but I have
Okay,
had a Mother's Day lunch at their restaurant
yes.
there. So thank you for plugging that. Yeah.
Thank you. So, I want to share about two things. Everything happening in Tijuana, but also um, what we are seeing in San Diego. Um, so, as you know, in Espacio Migrante, we work with asylum seekers and we receive families from all over the world, from other parts of Mexico, from Central and South America, Haiti, and even from African countries or the Middle East. And for them to get to the Mexico US border, they go through really difficult journeys where they pass many different borders, and even many times they pass through the Darien Gap, which is a deadly jungle. So by the time they get to Mexico, to the Mexico US border, they have been through a long journey where many people actually lose their lives in that journey. And as you know, the border has been closed for asylum seekers since January. Right now, there's no legal pathway where they can seek asylum. But we're seeing now that even those families who crossed in these past years, who they thought, and we also thought that they finally made it to the U.S. after these long journeys, and even waiting in Tijuana, whether it be through all these different programs set at the border, like Remain in Mexico or waiting through the CBP One app. And now they finally made it in the US. However, now we're seeing that even those who made it and like they like to say they followed all the right way or they followed the right process. Now they're in the US being persecuted and kidnapped. And this was the case of a dear family who is our friends. They are a Haitian couple um, who lived in Tijuana about 5 years during the first Trump administration. And while they were in Tijuana, they were very, very beloved in the community. They're actually artists, so they're dancers. So every time in Espacio Migrante that we had community events, they performed. They even did a presentation about Haitian dance and history. So even they helped to build bridges across cultures through their art. and they had a baby in Tijuana. And in 2021, they finally were able to, after Trump left the first administration, they finally were able to seek asylum and settle in San Diego with their baby. So they have been in San Diego for almost 5 years. They had another daughter, so now they have a 6-year-old and a 1-year-old. And I met with them a couple months ago. They told me that they were worried about the situation, everything they heard happening with ICE. And unfortunately, on the night before Thanksgiving, the wife called me because the father got detained. He got kidnapped by ICE while he was working, delivering a package because he works as a delivery person. And he got kidnapped by ICE, and he has been in detention ever since Thanksgiving. And this is a family that they have TPS, which is temporary protected status, and they have an open asylum case. So they are not completely undocumented, even though I think I still shouldn't be kidnapping families, even if they're undocumented. But in this case, they have an open process, and still, we haven't been able to find a way to get him out of detention. And through this time, he has been pressured to sign his deportation papers, which he hasn't signed. But it's very difficult because he's somebody who needs medication. We were finally able to bring him the medication into the detention center, but it took a few days. Um, and also now his wife is by herself with their two daughters, a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old, and the 6-year-old has autism, so she has to take care of them full time. He was the sole breadwinner of the family, and we started working with an attorney who is taking cases pro bono, and he's trying to get them out on bond. So, but in order to get him out on bond, it doesn't mean that his process is over. It just means that he could carry out his process together with his family, not in detention. Um, so the first thing that the attorney needed was somebody to be a sponsor. And when I told Mary Jean about that, she didn't even ask what that meant, and she said, "I mean, tell me what we have to do." So then we sat with the attorney, and he explained that the main thing is somebody who can write a letter and say, "I know this person. He's a father. He's an honest person who's going through asylum case," and just somebody to back him up. So she was, even before knowing this, she was already committed to being a sponsor. Unfortunately, the first hearing was last week, and the judge denied the bond. But there's a second chance on January 16th, I believe. So we're still fighting it. Unfortunately, this means that he's going to spend Christmas and New Year in detention away from his family. Mary Jean said she's going to invite the mom and daughters to spend Christmas with them, but it's just really difficult. And for us, it really hit close because it's somebody who spent years in Tijuana and they were very beloved in our community. And now to see that even after we thought that they found safety, that this is happening to them. So I wanted to share that story. And we have a GoFundMe account to support them. Or if anybody wants to support them, they can also contact Mary Jean. Um, and I also wanted to share a little bit about what's happening in the Tijuana side of the border. So, like I said, the border has been closed. So it's been a very challenging year. All the families who were in our shelter, or the Haitian families who come to our Spanish classes, they have been stranded in Mexico, and they see no close future way to seek asylum. We have been supporting most of the families to leave the shelter, to find jobs, to find a place to rent, but it's very difficult because many of them don't have documents in Mexico. And even for those who are Mexican, it's difficult to find a job, to settle in Tijuana, which is a very expensive city, without any networks. And this is especially difficult for single moms. But we have been supporting some families. Some of them are still in living in the shelter. And in Christmas, they're gonna have a Christmas dinner. Even the families who left the shelter are gonna get together in Espacio Migrante because since they don't have family in Tijuana, they have become each other's family. So they decided to celebrate in Espacio. And as you know, also all the organizations in Tijuana and everywhere, we have been impacted by the cuts in humanitarian aid from the US. So it's been a really difficult year also for the organization to be able to respond to this new context. For example, this year we had to close our legal clinic and we no longer have an attorney who is somebody that was helping migrants to seek asylum in Mexico. And now this is needed more than ever because migrants are stuck in Mexico. So they need ways to get documentation. Um, but also in the last month, our situation got so critical that we were about to close the shelter. We actually stopped receiving new families. And luckily, we were able to receive an emergency grant and also with the support of individual donations that is allowing us to continue the shelter until March. So this gives us a few months to keep raising funds and try to figure it out. But it's still a very real danger for us. However, we are still ending the year with a lot of hope and resistance. And last Friday, we had a Christmas party with the kids from the Homework Club. And these are Haitian teenagers who come to Espacio Migrante Tuesday through Friday. They go to middle school in the afternoon, so they spend the morning in Espacio. They get support with their homework and also with their Spanish. And they have a safe space to be in the morning where they also get a healthy lunch and they also sometimes play around and just feel safe. And we try to really support them the most we can. For example, recently there's one of our students who I don't know how to say in English, neurodivergent, but she hadn't been diagnosed. So we were finally able to get her a psychologist to diagnose her so that she can get more attention. So last Friday we celebrated with them. Last night we had a posada with a cause where it was also a fundraiser. So we ended our year with surrounded by community and also trying to raise some funds. And the last thing I want to mention, yesterday was International Migrants Day. So also a lot of organizations in Tijuana, including Espacio Migrante and the midwives, we had a press conference to announce a new coalition that we formed in Tijuana, which is Redaim. And it's something that we have been working around all year because all organizations are struggling, but we need to be organized and united in order to respond to these new contexts, these new challenges. So when we started getting together after the US election, we didn't know that we were forming a coalition, but we just wanted to organize, to share what was happening. But actually, Jimena might mention this, but the idea of the coalition was born at the birth house in with the midwives. And finally, yesterday, we officially announced it. So we're ending the year with a lot of hope, surrounded by community, and we're not going anywhere. We're still gonna keep fighting. So yeah, I just wanted to share that and also thank everyone for all your support. We received the ministry grant recently and another support from Loreto, which is flexible funds. And we're going to be able to use that for food justice and to keep our shelter open at least for a couple more months. So thank you also for supporting our work. So
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Paulina, and congratulations. I was going to mention International Day of Migrants, December 18th, which we noted yesterday. Congratulations. That is a fantastic effort. And just to say that, the connection, the networking, the support that you all have not only in Tijuana, but now connected with Tucson. And we'll hear from Bob and Dora, who wasn't able to join us today, but sent all her wonderful, um, good, good vibes, good feelings. This background is the wall of the Casa de la Esperanza in Sasabe, which I use for Immigration Spotlight. So Dora is with us. You want to one more point, and I'll just bring in Jimena if
Well,
she's here.
so Mary Jean told me to also invite Charlene. She's the wife of the our friend who was detained. I didn't know if she was going to join, but she just texted me that she's in the call. Mary Jean said that maybe she could also share a little bit. So I don't
Okay,
know.
let's have Jimena come in and then we'll add Charlene. I see Charlene. Great. Thank you, Paulina. Thank you so much. So let me introduce Jimena Rojas. Gracias. Hola. Thank you for being here. She is the founder and coordinator of Parterías y Medicinas Ancestrales, a midwifery service for migrant women, which runs a clinic and mobile services. And it's the birthing place for a lot of other things, as we heard, the coalition yesterday. Jimena also coordinates volunteer midwives along the migrant trail from Chiapas to Tijuana. So, Jimena, thank you for being here. The floor is yours. Gracias.
Good morning. Thank you so much for this space. I want to first say thank you because we were granted with a we were granted, and we are very happy that this money will allow us to pay the rent for the Ensenada Birth Center and to continue our work. Also, as Paulina mentioned, it's been really challenging this year for many organizations. We have been pivoting and we have been asking everywhere and opening the little, ¿cómo se llaman? Piggy banks, little piggy
Piggy
banks,
banks, yeah.
uh,
Al-
piling pennies to make sure we can continue working. And it's been a roller coaster. As Paulina mentioned, this case where uh, a family in the community. So every time one organization is impacted with one case, usually we all know who she's talking about, or we have been in touch with these families. And for the midwives, for us, is it's a daily situation where we are coping with babies being born no matter what. Babies don't stop, even in the middle of these changes in politics and um, the asylum cases being denied and all these situations. Babies are still happening, and the sexual reproductive health needs to continue. So that's why we decided, as Paulina just said, we will continue no matter what. And I wrote a little bit about this year. This year alone, we offer 3,240 treatments, each one an act of tending and remembrance. Um, Through acupuncture, eat seeds, essential oils, herbal medicine, our teams held space for women through pregnancy, birth, postpartum, healing, grief, and gestational loss. We serve in shelters, legal clinics, health fairs, NGOs, universities, schools, and we serve everyone. As Rosa was saying, from babies to elders, everyone in between. And this work continued to grow like a seed carried by the wind. We celebrate the opening of the birth center in Ensenada, that Loreto is one of our amazing sponsors. And also, it's a very special way that Loreto has been blessing our places, our birth center in Playas, and hopefully next time our birth center in Ensenada too. And already a healthy baby girl was born in prayer, ceremony, loving hands. And at the same time, we're planting new pathways of care by creating sexual reproductive health care services for local farm workers. At the Ensenada community, we have been experiencing that a lot of migrants, refugees, asylum seekers that were in shelters in Tijuana, they are no longer in the city because the rents are very expensive. The work is less and less available for migrants with their situation to get job permits and bank accounts and all the things that we take for granted and that we have the privilege to just happen to be a daily thing. For them is really challenging. So that's why a lot of the families are living in these other spaces. Also, Espacio Migrante and other organizations are helping families start their new life in their own homes and to be integrated in the community. But for some of them, they find a home kind of very far to where we are located. So that's why for the midwives, we have been very cautious on making sure everyone has access. So that's why we have the RV and we have visits to all these different locations. So we make sure everyone has the ability to to continue their consultations. One little example is that we provide anticonceptivos, preconception, and we provide the shot. So we train or we teach how to use it by themselves. So just in the case that they cannot come back for the shot the next month or in 2 months later, depending on the brand that we are providing, we teach them how to do it by themselves and how to safely continue their treatments. Also, we make sure that every person has the ability and the right to access what is happening in their bodies and why it's important to take care of themselves. Also, the informed consent. So, if everyone is making all these decisions, they have the full information and the spectrum of what we're doing and why we're doing it. And all these little examples are happen to be a little window and a little bit piece of all the things we do on a daily basis. I want to share, Mary Jean was very touched by one of the teenagers. I shared this little story and she was inviting me to share with everyone because the midwives have been coming to the school in Templo Embajadores, which is one school that is right next to the shelter. So they have been teaching about menstrual cycle, about ourselves, like get to know ourselves, our bodies, and all these different workshops to teach little children and teenagers. And one teenager was sharing with us that due to migration, she stopped seeing her menstrual cycle. It happened for more than a year. She got it at 12 years old. And then, as soon as she started traveling at 14, she didn't see it. It stopped from 14. She arrived into Tijuana, and at 15 and 15 and a half, she didn't see any of her cycles come back, and she was really worried and stressed about it. So the midwife started coming to the school, and we were sharing about the importance of taking care of ourselves and how to be in a safe space with friends. Even they share little red bracelets for the girls. So when one is having the menstrual cycle, she can wear it, and all the other girls can pamper her and bring her tea or be kind or write a little note. And that started happening a few months ago. And then last month, she confirmed that she has been having her period back for 3 times now. Every month is happening. And that is just a little story of how amazing being safe can be for our nervous system, how important it is to be held by others in different ways. And that's also how our nervous system can be in sync. And we're trying to do that as with teenagers, with other organizations, as adults, as midwives. Sometimes we're dealing with different very difficult cases, but we're trying to be that person that can um, mirror our nervous system. And as I am feeling right now, when we are in this spotlight, we are mirroring each other and we are helping each other feel seen, feel safe, and feel the hope and the faith that we share, that everything somehow is going to be all right. And I am missing Mary Jean here, but I am grateful that she's connecting all the dots here in Tijuana with Paulina, with Nicolasa. And I wish that you can get to know more of the organizations. And I am grateful for all this work. And
Thank you so much,
I
Jimena.
think
Wow.
well, I can share the little note that I wrote with you, Dora, or with Rosa, with everyone by email. Yeah.
Or if we have time afterwards. Thank you so much. We said that we were going to bring messages of hope, but this is really wonderful. This is just seeing your tea steam and the birthing tub behind you. It is really so powerful. Just the wonderful words that you say you bring and the work that you do. Thank you so much. And again, that connecting of the people who are doing this marvelous work is something that we value, and we congratulate you and treasure you for that. Thank you so much, Jimena. I'm gonna bring in Nicolasa into this. Conversation. Thank you so much for being here, Nicolasa. Nicolasa Cordova is the director of Casa de Arcoiris, an LGBTQI plus shelter for asylum seekers, founded in 2018, responding to the needs of migrants and asylum seekers of the LGBTQ plus community in Tijuana, Mexico. Welcome. Thank you for being here, Nicolasa. Bienvenida. Gracias por estar aquí.
Gracias, Rosa. Hi, good morning, everyone. So happy to see faces that I can start recognizing more and more now. And well, I'm gonna start like with the current context and challenges. I mean, it's really, really close to what already Jimena and Paulina mentioned. It is a really tough year. Like I have mentioned before, I we as a team we always thought like, oh, this year is really hard, this year is really hard, but I think this one is the winner. and and we keep doing our work, so that's hopeful for me. So this year has been especially challenging for Casa Arcoiris. We do continue to face the delayed and the reduced fundings, and particularly after suspending all the programs and the support for basics like food, rent. Um, and something has happened this year also, like really particular, and it's that we have been noticed that there's an increase in elderly residents for Casa Arcoiris. Casa Arcoiris is an LGBTQI plus. So this like team or issue of elders in this particular community, it's not like there's a lot of information out there. So we are working with little resources, little information, but we're still working with all the residents that we have been taken in this situation. There's a lot of things very particular for this group, like for most of the 80s and 90s, the medical system that was working for transgender communities didn't have like advanced, I don't know how to put it, like the medical resources were really, really well, there were the 80s. And now we are facing the consequences of all these hormones not controlled or not being supervised, or all these medical conditions that particularly transgender elder community are facing. And it has been born like a group in Casa Arcoiris where they reunite every two Sundays. And the main point was primarily to practice like an English circle, to practice their English, but it has been developing more as a support group for elders in the community. And it's really nice to see how it works around, how they reconnect and see each of them like a chosen family, something really, really particular in migrant community and an LGBT community. And that's what's been happening for Casa Arcoiris in terms of the day-by-day situation. With all the limited resources, we have to reduce staff this year also. We still operate 24/7. The last year, we still have like 9 people in staff plus um, volunteers. And this year, we're working with 5 people in staff and 2 volunteers. Also, that is something that has been working the last year was to formalize staff benefits. And I would like to point out that Casa Arcoiris is also, all the staffs are also LGBTQI plus and or have been migrants or experienced the situation. So it was really important to us that if we are doing like all this work for other people, just to think about also of our team, our family as Casa Arcoiris, but this year we didn't made it. we we were forced to step back from our labor justice plan, which aimed to formalize these staff benefits. I think the most significant impact has been the lack of access to health coverage and formal employment records for our team. And all these realities have required us to rethink how we care for our own community with dignity and intention. It's something that we don't want to just like drop, like, oh, we didn't make it. Well, let's continue. No, it's something that we really think about the next year. If we could, if fundings get better, we still have to work on that plan because we're also a team getting older. And or some of our response and strategies, rather than closing or shrinking our mission, we open up as a community center based in care. And one of the example is this dialogue circle we hold twice a month. And also there's a core that, I don't know if I say it right, un quorum, a core. Yeah, that's right, of women that go and use the space to practice. We've been doing events, selling even food, projecting documentaries or movies just to bring the community in also. And we also have leaned into local funding and collective responsibility and mutual support among staff and residents. For the first time in the 7 years that Casa Arcoiris has been open, I think the residents have been like more aware of the situation because they face day by day with us how we are struggling with all the resources. And that is kind of nice, but I think it shouldn't be like that. Like they already have all their issues, and this house should be not like part of another responsibility. But uh, the nice part is that the community has been like really aware of the situation, and they also want to get involved in collectives, in fundings. They come with a lot of ideas to us, like, oh, we want to sell burritos, we want to make bread and sell. And this also has opened the door for mostly the elders to see an opportunity to make their own business in selling. There's a alderman that is selling hummus, and there's another lady that sells different kind of burritos, and depending what it's on our pantry. And that's been like a nice response on a strategy that more than to help the houses, like just to develop their own way to earn some money. So despite these challenges, we remain open. Like Paulina and Jimena said already, there's a lot of work doing. There's not enough hands. Casa Arcoiris has been kind of slow with Redeem, this new coalition that it's been working, but it's really, really hard for us, like with 5 people, to get to all the places and all the meetings. But we're working to be more active on it. And well, another thing that has changed a lot for us this year is that we have received USA citizens who seek refugee in Mexico. That's a new one for us. There's been 4 people now that came from the USA and they're citizens and they want to seek refugee in Mexico. And the main reason is that their chosen names are being taken because of Trump administration and all those programs about uh, taking back their names. So people rather come to Mexico and make a life here just to keep their identity. And that is like something that has been shocking to us. And also the mental health situation in this year has been like a huge challenge for us. We've seen like a lot of people under a lot of stress because there's no way, they don't know if they have to go back or just wait until the border is open again. And it's so stressful. I second what Paulina mentioned about living in Tijuana. It's super expensive. The rents are in dollars. And that is like something that is kind of really, really hard. If we do can find a place for someone to stay, usually it's not in a very secure area or are these little rooms, which it's really hard. And for trans people, again, like it's really hard even if they to for them to rent them. Like if they just see them and then it's a big no. So we've been having elders, mostly trans elders, at the shelter struggling to be located in Tijuana, like established in Tijuana, because they don't want to rent them. They don't want to give them jobs. So that's how it's been working around. On the brighter side, I really, really want to thank Loreto, and second again what already mentioned Paulina and Jimena, because you have been like a light beam in this year. I don't know, Casa Arcoiris, what would been doing without all the support. I mean, the rent and the foods, which is the basics, have been covered the last 3 months, I think, by Loreto. And we figure out the rest, but I mean, rent and food are the basics. And I want to thank you a lot for all the support. And yeah, I think that's what I have on my hand. Mm.
Thank you so much, Nicolas. Oh, wow, that's a lot of information. That information that you threw in at the end about U.S. citizens, going over, and that I think is related to this issue that the Trump administration has, where the passport or the official, birth name has
Yeah.
to be retained for, trans people. So we want to hear more about that so we can get that out there. But thank you so much. You're such a wonderful partner to us. And we're so grateful that we've been able to help out. And there are folks here also who have helped out with that as well through the Loreto Link meeting. So hopefully we can hear something about that in the Q&A. Mil gracias. We're going to turn now to Martha, and we're going to go inland a bit to hear about what's happening in Colorado. Thank you, Martha, for being here. Welcome.
Thank all of you who have just shared the richness of your journey and your work. It's really a gift. And yes, I'm on a different end of things here. in Denver. I'm part of a group that Mary Helen, I think, is here too, and she's also part of Immigration Partners team, and it's sort of a multi-pronged group that's very well organized. And I'm not sure, honestly, exactly when it started. A little over a year ago, I think. But one part is called Court Watch, and that's the part that I'm involved in. And another part is called the Ice Watch. So there are people who go out to the ice facility in Centennial, which is about 15 miles probably from the center of Denver. And then there's also a branch of the team that is the emergency response team. If ICE comes to somebody's door or to the court, we call a phone number, and that whoever receives that call disperses the information, and people will descend on that location where ICE is, just to be witness. And so with Court Watch, we just go to the federal building where people are going for their court appointments. Although recently fewer people have been coming because it's not helpful, and it's not people leave court and think they have a couple of years, but they're still vulnerable, as all of you know, to being picked up by ICE. And so when we're there, a couple of us stand outside and pass out these little papers with information about what to do, if what they might expect in court, and what to do if ICE comes to their home, and some resources for them. Um, and I love doing it because just being with the people who come, and we also can go into the courtroom, which is it, it's it's so confusing. It's so confusing what's happening in court. Um, um, and people don't understand that. I don't understand what's happening. It's changing very rapidly. Currently, you all may know this now. No one's being given asylum, and their case, their cases are either terminated or closed, or something called pretermit or something like that. We communicate with each other through Signal, which is um, maybe you know what that is. I didn't know what it was, but it's a safe communication. So we get Signal messages every day from people who are at the court. Somebody's there every day from our team, 2 or 3 people. And I'm just going to read you one that I just got while we were meeting from the people that are outside the court. Attorneys out front are talking with us. Pretermit means there is basically no longer an active asylum case, and they are subject to immediate deportation. That being said, if cases go this route, there might be more ICE activity here at the federal building. And they said that's just what the attorney is telling us. So things like that are happening every day in the court, and people are given 10 days to bring evidence, credible evidence, that if they're deported to Honduras, they'll be in danger. I mean, these are people who are from Venezuela, Cuba. So they're asked to do things that are impossible, really, to do. So, but for me personally, being able to stand there when they're coming in, we do 2-hour shifts, and so it's a short time. But I just love talking to the people and telling them we're there to support them. We don't know what's going to happen when they go inside. Um, and we want them to have this information, and that someone's there every day all day. We have volunteers there. And so, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I don't know if people have questions. We have so many questions about what's going on in court. And sometimes when people are going in, they'll ask us questions. And the other day, I said to a couple of people, ask the judge, because the judge always says, "Do you have any questions?" And never does anyone ask a question. And I'm sitting in the courtroom sometimes thinking, I have a million questions. What does that mean, what you just said to this person, for when they walk out of here? Um, so it's just, I mean, it's a frightening mess and a tragedy, and I don't know, sometimes, and the people are so beautiful, as we know, and their children are dressed up like they're going to a birthday party, going to court. And the people, the guards that when we go through the entrance, they're often very, very gruff. And now they've started asking us for our IDs, and they don't like that we're there. And it's all very harsh. And but I really love being there. And
Thank you, Martha. Thank you so much for all the work that you do. I think that it's very hard to be there, and I think so much harder for those who are actually being processed in court. We hope to have some time afterwards for questions. I also want to bring in Shireen because Paulina brought her, and hopefully she'll be able to present. But let's turn over to hear from Bob in Tucson, um, and connect along the border. Hello, Bob.
Hi, hi to everybody.
Hi. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. We are very busy here. There's so much to do. So, but thanks to everyone for sharing and all the amazing work that you do in Tijuana and in Denver and all over the country. I mean, Loretto is just an amazing team, amazing group of people, and all the people that are connected as well. It really inspires me. And Dora sends her love. She's on her way to Northern Arizona to be with her family, spend a couple days for Christmas. She needs some time off. So, but she's with us all for sure. So I'll just kind of do a recap, and I'll end it up on a positive note, some positive things. So the desert is still active. I am out there, and we're not seeing people, but we see evidence of people by the amount of food that we see used all the time. So folks are still out there. The army is down at the border. They're blasting away. They're putting up razor wire all along the wall, and they're in the process of building a second wall along the border as well. So it's a very active time out there, and the soldiers have nothing to do. They are just sitting around. Because there is no invasion, of course. And then at the border in Kino, things are really quite quiet there. People do get deported. They go to the sports stadium, and from there, Kino is there 5 days a week, and they will encourage people to come back to Kino for services, and they can stay there for a while. But many of the people are being deported further south, Mexico City, Tabasco, things like that, and they're all folks from Mexico. So it's very, very different. And as Paulina said, no asylum. There's zero asylum. Nobody's presenting themselves for asylum. So what's really active for us are the prisons. About 2 months ago, I created a group of people to do visitations to the prisons, immigration prisons, and we have about, I think, 18 volunteers now, and I think 9 have done visitations. So I know after the first of the year, more people will become involved, and we have, thinking of what happened with the family Paulina spoke of, ICE is doing raids all over Tucson, and we have Father Ray and I have taken 3 families back to Nogales, Mexico to self-deport, 3 Venezuelan families. And one of the families I drove down with the father and the older son, and he was telling me about their journey through the Darien Gap, and it was horrendous. And they are now in Colombia. They're safely in Colombia. So, and we have another gentleman that he was beaten up by not ICE, but the bounty hunters. And then they called ICE. So he's beaten up severely, but he's now in Brazil, and we're going to send his wife and child to meet up with him soon. So, but the prisons are very busy. We have, I think, on our list now we have 10 people that we visit, ranging from Peru to Ecuador to Mexico, many from Mexico. We have 3 men that are in prison that are all connected to families here that we support for Salvavision. 2 brothers from Sasabe. They and their mother and their younger brother fled when the war was going on in Sasabe to Tucson. And the 2 brothers in the family, they were working on their residency. They always carry their paperwork. They were stopped by ICE just because they're brown. And they said, look, we have all of our paperwork here. I said, they took the paperwork, they just threw it on the floor, and they said, we don't care, you're coming with us. And now they're in Florence. And so we're working to get a lawyer for them. Father Ray and I went up to visit with them. They shouldn't be there. They just shouldn't be there. And then we have another family that I visited with the mom and the 2 daughters, a daughter of 4, and the other is 5 months old. She's from Nogales, Mexico. He's from Cuba. They met in Nogales, Mexico when he was going through the CPP-1 process, and they got married. And then after he passed his credible fear interview, they came to Tucson because she has a visa and she can cross. So they came to Tucson, lived in Tucson, since 2021. He got picked up driving because that program does not any longer exist. And now he's in Florence as well. So I will visit with him at some point in time. And we're looking at 2 different prisons in Florence. There's a gentleman in Eloy that we still visit. There's a Florence federal prison, and there's a Florence private prison. The difference in these prisons is night and day. The treatment in the private prison is horrible. It's horrible. We just had there's a gay gentleman that I visit, Renee, and he called me and he said, now I'm in CCA. And I said, how is the treatment? He said, it's horrible. It's really, really bad. And fortunately, the people in the federal prison say, it's tranquilo. They don't have any problems there with the guards or the people. It's a decent place to be. If they're going to be in prison, it's not bad. So that's what's going on as far as and then we have a gentleman that called me the other day. He has court on Wednesday, and Father Ray and I are going to. He said, "Can you come and be support for me?" So Father Ray and I are going to go and support him on Wednesday in his court hearing. But then some positive things. Salvavision, we're still paying rents. I think we paid rents for 8 people last month. And thanks to Loretto, because today I'll be I'll be working on this weekend, putting money in phone accounts for people, sending out money in letters for the commissary. So those funds help tremendously, and they go fast. When you do this and people call and say, I have no more money in my phone account, and so because it's important if they have family that they talk to family. So, and then on Wednesday, we had a great celebration of volunteers for Salvavision. We put together all these bags for Christmas, 55 bags of just all kinds of different goodies and for the families. And they'll be delivered next Wednesday. And then on Sunday, January 4th, we're going to be celebrating All Kings Day at Father Ray's church. And all the families will come. We're having pupusas and he does a really nice little gathering for the children, and so we'll celebrate All Kings Day. And we're going to have bags of toys for all the children. And And we've established a program with Salvavision that we call friendly visits. And each one of these visits is a team that goes out to a home. And it basically started as healthcare because each team has a nurse and we have a doctor on board as well. So every Thursday, teams go out and they visit families, but it's turned into a holistic program because it's emotional support, psychological support. Father Ray will go out and give them spiritual support. So that it's turned out to be a great program. And tomorrow, Father Ray and one of the visiting nurses from Mexico, we're all going down to the Posada in Nogales, which should be it will be a wonderful time tomorrow. So thanks for the opportunity to share this.
That is wonderful, Bob. Thank you so much for bringing all this information and these messages of hope around this Christmas time. I think we've got to have Father Ray on with you real soon.
Yeah.
Because he's a partner now. And just to mention, Bob, Key, Maureen, Mary Jean, Dora, we have these funds that are flex funds, we call them, where Loretto has supported, and we thank the Loretto community for these past ministry funds that have supported, as our partners have said, that they're able to quickly replenish these phone accounts, the commissary, as Maureen mentioned, buy things very quickly. They're easily accessible. So that is one thing that Loretto has been able to support, and we've been able to continue with, and we're very grateful. Thank you for indulging us. I want to bring in Charlene here. If Charlene can turn on her video so that we can bring you in, and I think Paulina as well. Now, Charlene, I'm not sure. Let's see where you are. Okay. Oh, there you are. Hello.
Yes.
Bonjour. How are you?
Bonjour. So.
So I think
You
we also
understand?
bring in Paulina, who's gonna help.
Yes, for
And
translate.
and thank you, Paulina. And if you can please introduce Charlene, who I'm just meeting right now. So thank you very much.
Te voy a presentar, Shirley.
Yes.
So Charlene is a dear friend. She is from Haiti, and she with Jean Denis lived in Tijuana for some years, and then they moved to San Diego. And this is the story that I shared earlier. Charlene is also a mom of 2 daughters, and she's an artist. And I'll let Charlene share about her story, and then I'll translate. She's gonna speak in Spanish, and I'm gonna translate. Si quieres compartir como un poco y luego yo traduzco y luego sigues y yo traduzco.
Sí. Ok. Muy buenos días a todos. Fue un placer para mí de estar participando en esta reunión. Muchas gracias por sus apoyos y por estar escuchando el voice de los inmigrantes que que están en parte difícil, pues que necesitan apoyos de otras personas, pues y aunque no los llegó el voice. ¿Sigo?
So good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me here. And thank you, everyone, for supporting immigrants and for listening to immigrants' voices and supporting immigrants that are going through a hard time right now.
Okay. Mi historia, pues, es mi esposo, pues, durante que estaba trabajando el 24 de noviembre, mientras que entrega paquete, pues, había un paquete para ambas militar el 24 anoche y se fue a entregarlo y ahí, pues, lo pidieron que ya se identifica, pues, por supuesto, se presentó su ID, todo eso, su licencia. y después de 2 horas, pues los dicen que está arrestado. Entonces, desde ahí lo llevaron al calzada en otra mesa que está en detención. Y pues es una situación bien difícil para todos los migrantes, pues que se puede ir al corte, lo pueden encontrar en la calle, lo pueden encontrar mientras que está trabajando, pues lo arrestaron. Entonces, pues estas personas también, aunque está dentro y pueden ganar su corte porque tienen que presentar 3 veces con el juez, pueden ganar su corte y ahí pues no está liberado, pues no lo liberaron, se quedan todavía adentro, aunque me comentó Jan Denis también que está adentro, que lo está también hablando con ellos, pues me comentó eso. Y también hay algunos también que necesitan patrocinados. Y de hecho, ayer me dijo Denise sobre un muchacho pues que tiene 6 meses adentro que entraba con CBB1, que entró pues aunque pagó un abogado y ahora necesita un habeas corpus y no tiene dinero para pagar a alguien o un abogado federal para ayudar con esta parte, pues, y de hecho ahora ya estoy marcando a ver qué organización le pueden apoyar de esta parte, pues, ¿lo sigo o me quedo ahí?
Voy a see. So my story begins with my husband, who was working delivering packages, and he on November 24th, he was working at night, and he delivered a package in a military base. And when he tried to enter, they asked him for an ID. So of course he presented his driver's license, and then they questioned him for 2 hours until they took him to the detention center. So ever since, he has been detained in Otay Mesa Detention Center, and it's been a very difficult situation. And I speak with him, and he shares with me about how difficult the situation is, not only for himself, but for all the migrants who are detained there. And right now, it's a situation where migrants can be picked up anywhere, even if they're in the street, if they're working, they can be arrested any moment. And he has met people who are in detention who already saw the judge 3 times and they had a positive outcome in their case, but they still haven't been freed. They're still in detention. So my husband Janani has been speaking with him. A lot of people who are in detention need sponsors. He spoke to a young man recently who entered the US through the CBP One app to seek asylum, and he has been in detention for 6 months. And this young man paid an attorney, but he still doesn't have money to file habeas corpus, which is a way that he could get out. So he has been looking for an organization. So even Charlene right now is looking for organizations who can also support other people who are in the detention. ¿Puedes continuar?
Sí,
Sherlyn, si
sí,
puedo
y
pedir,
por
si
mientras,
puedes
pues,
resumir en lo próximo para tener tiempo para preguntas para los otros que presentaron. Gracias.
ok, voy a estar más corta. Ok, sí, pues y ahora como con los abogados nada no es garantizado, pues y pues como John Denise se presentó una vez al corte y pues en un mes ya el 15 tiene otro corte y el 16 también sobre el bonds, pues para ver cómo se puede hacer y se puede estar a checar su caso afuera, se puede seguir afuera o aunque está liberado, eh, pues es muy difícil ahora, pues que tengo 2 niñas que una es autismo que tiene 6 años, pero la vida pues es así con este presidente que ahora ya cambió todo, que es muy difícil, pues muchas gracias a todos, pues no nos vamos a dejar, hay que luchar y ver cómo se puede ir más adelante todo. Muchas gracias.
So even if you're able to find an attorney, nothing is guaranteed. Jean Denis was able to have a court hearing for bond, but he has two other court hearings on the 15th to look at his case, and on the 16th to look at the possibility to get bond and to so he can continue his case outside. But for me, it has been very difficult because I have two small daughters. One of them is 6 years old and has autism. So life has been very difficult without my husband. But this is how life is, and especially with this president. But I really want to thank everyone for their support, and we're not going to let them do this to us. We're going to continue fighting. Thank you.
Gracias. Gracias. Thank you so much for that story of yours. Gracias por contar tu historia. Es muy valioso oír esto para proveer contexto, como lo han hecho Paulina y todos los demás. I'm just thanking her for bringing her story to us and providing more real context to everything that our colleagues have presented here. I want to bring in, if there are any questions, I just want to bring in our speakers. If there are any questions anyone had during this time. I think Martha is still here. Okay, do we have someone on the phone?
Yes, that would be me. Can you hear me? I'm in my vehicle.
Yes, can you identify yourself, please?
Yes, my name is Frank Hutchins. I'm an anthropology professor at Bellarmine University in Louisville, Kentucky. Grew up near the Loretto Mother House in Marion County, and each spring I teach an immigration class, and a couple of your speakers have been generous in working with me and my students during our visit to the border each spring break. Dora and Bob Key in particular have joined our group. I'll be bringing students down the first week of March. I'm working with a medical supplies warehouse in Louisville to try and get some needed supplies. But the dynamics on the border have changed, obviously, and I welcome any recommendations, any ways that our students might be able to help during that week, particularly if there are needed supplies that we could bring down. And thanks to all of you for a dose of optimism at a time when I think I and a lot of others truly need it.
Thank you so much, Frank. Thank you for joining us. I know that we met your colleague Susan in Louisville for Dora's book presentation. That was a really incredible connection there. But I see Bob smiling. And so I'm wondering, does anyone have any response to Frank's questions?
Yes, I have
about
I really would like to meet the professor here in Louis-based co-members so we can do something and to help him and the group who is going. Thank you.
That was Mariela Ramirez. She's also based in Louisville, and it would be good to connect Mariela with Frank.
Thank you.
That's great.
I think we were there.
Yes, Mariela, I can be reached at Bellarmine through my Bellarmine email account.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you. Looking forward to meeting you. Thank you.
Any from our speakers? The challenges of delivering needed supplies. And I know Jimena has sent me a very long list of supplies, of medical supplies that can be used. So
one of the things that we discussed in our group, our meetings, is about the trauma. And I don't know what way maybe we can really support or do something for people who are planning to go there.
Right. Part of the work that we do on the LACC is sort out through some of these issues. We meet monthly. We have a planning session organized for January. So we will bring this in, but it would be good to get other input here. Let's see, Bob has a hand raised. Yes, Bob.
Yeah. Yeah, Frank, I will get back I got your email. I'm sorry I haven't responded, but I will respond. But regarding the things, Jimena, if there are specific things that you need, or Paulina or Nicolasa, let me know. Send me an email, and then I can share Frank's email, and we can collaborate, because I can get stuff. I can drive it over to San Diego, and we can get it to Tijuana. It's an easy thing to do. So Frank can bring it here, and I'll make sure that I'll get it over there.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Frank, is that a new hand or an old hand?
Sorry, that's an old hand.
Okay.
I just lowered it.
All right. Any other questions? Or any other final comments? I have one last very short point that I want to make. Yes, Sally.
I just would like to make a comment about what we all just witnessed as one of the most powerful things about these immigration spotlights. How we can collaborate together, support each other in not just emotional and spiritual ways, but in real concrete ways. That Bob, you just offered, send me stuff and I will take the stuff to Southern California and Tijuana. That's just it's wonderful. I mean, I'm just patting ourselves on the back, LACC, that this is what we have created, and isn't it just marvelous?
Thank you, Sally. I think that yes, we are seeing how the synergy is created, how the relationships have developed, and how all the support is there. And yes, we will continue. We need to continue. It's very apropos that you raised your hand, because the last point is to thank Sally for all her work during this time. She has been working tirelessly as a member of the LACC, and I want to spotlight you, Sally, but I don't know where you are. I think you've turned off your oh, there you are. Let's see if I can add you as well. Sally is going to be cycling off the LACC, and we're very, very sad. She's helped as a treasurer during this time, as a co-leader on the LACC, as this Zoom mistress, as you can see. So I want to give kudos to Sally for being with us, for sharing so much of your time. I know you're not going to go far, Sally, because we love you and we're connected, and you can't abandon the LACC, too easily. I just want to do a very quick celebration of a very short presentation, showing some pictures that of our partners and of Sally here. If I can just get this thing going where I can show some photos. Let me see. Let me showing the slide here. The Zoom instructions are getting in the way here. Okay, here we go. Slideshow. Oh, okay.
Oh.
I think we passed. Okay, we'll miss you, Sally. This was in Casa Arcoiris.
Arcoiris,
And this was in one of the demonstrations. And I believe we were right near the ICE demonstration
Yes.
protest in Eloy. This is outside the Eloy Detention Center and in Tucson. And this is in San Diego when Bob and Dora joined us, and Lillian
At Mary Jane's.
at Mary Jane's. This is in Tijuana at the border, outside Espacio Migrante. And again, this is at Casa Arcoiris. And this is, I believe, in El Paso.
Yes.
In one of our meetings. So, Sally, we are going to miss you, and we thank you so much for just being there for us and our partners. So, on that note, I just want to thank Paulina, Jimena, Nicolasa, Martha, Bob, Charlene, everyone who has been our partners throughout this 2025, and we will be there for you in 2026, continuing to work with you and Dora and Mary Jean, who are here in spirit, definitely, and you all our partners, friends, LACC devotees who've been tuning into our immigration spotlight and supporting us, and Loretto for supporting all of the work, all of these lives, making a difference in people's lives. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. Sally, farewell. You'll take us out, I think, with our ending our Zoom here. But thank you so much for joining us and for indulging us. So we went over, but we've had a lot to cover. And Feliz Navidad, Prospero Año Nuevo, Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas. Have a wonderful holiday season, and we will see you next year.
Thanks, Rosa.
Tune in. Gracias.
Yeah. Bye.
Adios.
Thank you so
Adios.
much, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Rosa. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you. Gracias.